everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be doing the all signs portion for the full moon in Taurus. I did already do a overview of this full moon and the transits and the tarot and all that stuff, so I'll have that video linked below. Also on the same day, Saturn is going direct, and so I actually will have that video linked down below too. I did the all signs for that. I will briefly talk about that in this video, but I go more in depth about it in that video. And in that video, I also talk a little bit about the full moon for some signs too. So you may find that if you listen to both of them, you're going to have more of a complete understanding of the ways that the energy can come about during this time. So without further ado, let's begin. All right, so for my Aries sun, moon, and rising, this full moon is happening in your second house. Now, I already did a overview for this full moon that I have linked down below. Definitely recommend you guys go out and check it because, as always, it's going to ring very true for you as an Aries rising especially. So the second house is primarily a money house, right? And it also has to do with our values. What do we value in this world? How do we value ourselves? What's our self-worth? What's our self-esteem? How do we spend money? How do we make money? It's the house of money earned from your income. When we have a culmination here, it could be something related to that field in your life from a seed that was planted back on May 7th, around May 7th of 2024. Now it's coming to fruition, it's coming to a culmination, it's coming to some sort of a peak. And because of the transits of this particular full moon that I talk about in that video, this is an area of your life that is taking a new direction in some way. Uranus has been in this part of your chart since 2018. And every time that Uranus gets activated, depending on what planet hits it, it's a shakeup to try to loosen any grip that you have on that part of your house. And where Taurus is in our charts, we tend to grip pretty tightly. For the last 6 years, this is an area of your life that's been trying to evolve. And these shakeups are in order for you to align that part of your life with your true self. Uranus is the great awakener, and it's about aligning you by being radically authentic, radically yourself. So during this time, you guys may be getting a new income source, a new job. You may be understanding something about it. You know, a lot of times when the moon is with Uranus, but it's opposing the sun, right? So Uranus is opposing the sun. It's an inner insight, but it can also result in some sort of conscious decision to go in a new direction because of that. This could also come from somebody outside of you. But I feel like because you guys just had Saturn retrograde in your 12th house for 4.5 months since June, I also just did a video on Saturn going direct because it's happening the same day as this full moon. So I'll have that link below. I did the all signs for that too, to get some more information. But what it's feeling like is you guys were in a state of heavy reflection, and it's made you illuminated to a lot of patterns within yourself and a lot of, just self-reflection that led to some sense of awakening in some way, or an understanding and acceptance of the past and a willingness to move forward. And this may have meant that there were things in the past several months that you had to let go of that were not aligned with you, and that's caused you some grief and sadness. But what I'm seeing is that you are seeing now, after losing that thing, that there is something new that is already manifested in your life or is going to manifest within the next couple of weeks. Maybe it's even an idea that you can't manifest right away, but it's going to take some time. Could be like a new job, a new side hustle, a new sense of understanding about budgeting, or deciding to that way that you're making money isn't aligning with your values. Now, Venus is in Capricorn, and it's the ruler of this full moon. It's in your 10th house. Pluto's finishing up at the 29th degree there as well. So Venus being here is, once again, this is a money and career house. So it's really talking to this idea that you guys are really thinking about how you're making money, how you're spending money, how you value life and the values they have in life in general. Are they in alignment with where you want to go in this world, the legacy that you want to leave in this world? And for a lot of you guys, because Venus is squaring the nodes, this is going to require that you release some sort of patterns that have kept you stuck. And I think for a lot of you guys, you may have already been on this process with Saturn being in retrograde in your 12th house for many months. But for some of you guys, it's coming up strongly right now that there is a release that needs to happen. And this can be because it's squaring the node, so it's both your sign and also Libra, but it's more likely that it has something to do with your relational patterns and how you relate to other people. Something about that is outdated. It's not helping you on this new path that you're headed on, not just in the way that you make money, but your values and how they define your life direction, your legacy, your career, your reputation. You're really wanting a new sense of alignment here. And Pluto at the 29th degree in your 10th house, about to move into your 11th house, where it really becomes about the gains that you've gotten from this career change, but also about finding the networks and the groups of people that you align with and finding the support, the communities, and just finding the right people for you. This may be a slow journey. Like I said, for some of you guys, if you watch my Saturn direct video, this may be something that you need to take baby steps toward. This realization that you're having in your second house of money and values. Something around this full moon may shake something up, and it could be someone telling you something. It could be you seeing something. A lot of times with a full moon, because it's an illumination, a lot of times it's just an inner, where we respond to something emotionally in a way that is shaking something up inside of us and provoking us to move towards accepting the past and moving towards this new sense of, this is what I'm doing now. And what is lost, and we are moving forward in this new way. Aries, let me know how this resonates for you guys. Make sure to like and subscribe. I'll see you guys next time. Taurus, this full moon is happening in your first house. What is the first house? The first house is new beginnings. It's your body. It's your appearance. It's your identity. It's the lens in which you see the world through. So it can be your attitude as well, your appearance. I don't know if I already said that. So think back to May of this year. What goals were you setting about how you want to show up in the world? What goals were you setting about the attitude that you want to have in this lifetime? And how are those goals culminating or reaching some sort of conclusion or peak at this time? This part of our chart, especially for you guys have had Uranus in your first house since 2018. And Uranus is the great awakener, right? It's wants to liberate you from the old ways of being and shake you awake almost, and so that you can lose the aspects of you that are no longer you, right? This is about becoming radically authentic in who you are. If you have anything around, give or take 3 degrees, I would say 24 degrees of Taurus, this is really impacting you. Venus, your ruler and the ruler of this moon, is in your 9th house, along with Pluto at the 29th degree of Capricorn, and it's squaring the nodes. So I talked about this at length in my overview video that I did. I'll have that link below where I talk about this full moon in great length if you haven't watched that one yet. But Venus squaring for you guys, the North Node, it feels like there is something that you guys have been working on. And you're getting kind of disappointed / impatient because it has not yet come to fruition. Venus, your ruler, squaring the nodes is telling me that there is some sort of habitual pattern that needs releasing during this time. And because the full moon is also a time for release, it could be in your first house. There could be some outdated identity or attitude that you need to shed, but it could also be Libra in your sixth house, the South Node in Libra in your sixth house. The sixth house is about work. It's about, yeah, so this is what I'm feeling. I'm feeling like a lot of you guys have some sort of work that you, okay, I see two things happening. One is that some of you guys may have been working on something new. So like either a side hustle, a new hobby that makes money, a business, and you haven't really seen the fruits of your labor yet. And that can get frustrating and that can get disappointing. What I'm hearing about that is that this has been a process for you in order to gain clarity about how you actually want to move forward, because Saturn on the same day is going direct in your 11th house. I also did a video on that if you haven't watched it yet. But this is going to allow you to recognize what area of life do I want to be of service to humanity for. And when I say that, it doesn't have to be a service-oriented job. It could be that you're an artist and you want to give to the world and be of service in that way. So it's just recognizing in what way do I want to be of service to humanity, and who are the groups and organizations and networks that I need to be a part of in order to make that happen. The 11th house is also technology, so it could have something to do with online presence as well. The other way that I could see this happening is that some of you guys are working in jobs or have health issues that are not working for you anymore, in the sense that you're getting sick. If it's a health issue, you're getting sick and tired of habitually doing these patterns that are not serving your health, right? Because the sixth house is the house of illness. And, or for people who it's job related, you could be working a job that is disappointing to you. And that is something that you need to release at this time. Now, it doesn't mean that you have to release the job, but you may have to make adjustments to figure out what is going to allow you to gain clarity with this. Doing this, I believe, will allow you guys to have a renewed sense of optimism and vitality and success. I didn't really talk about Venus being in the 9th with Pluto. All of this is testing your belief systems. You're really getting clearer during this time. What beliefs align with my values in life, and how am I living those beliefs? These beliefs that I have, am I integrating them into my current existence? Or are they just staying as sort of this like future vision that the 9th house can represent sometimes? And that is your beliefs. And this, for some of you guys, could be education. It could be publication of some sort. It could be legal issues. It could be long distance travel. That area of your life is challenging. It's an area of our lives where we find truth and meaning and expansion in our lives, and primarily through our belief system. And it's challenging how you're actually living your day-to-day life and saying, like, are these things aligned with each other? Yeah, so there's a lot going on for you guys. Like I said, this is in your sign, so I'm not surprised, but I'm getting a lot of energy for you guys here. And I want to just say that if you are disappointed, know that the fruits of your labor are going to come soon. It's just going to take a little bit of time, and you've got to start working diligently with this new information, with this new illumination that you have with Uranus, contacting the moon and the sun. This is pushing you, it's almost like it's pushing you through this dark period. And I'm not sure if it's super dark for everybody, but I'm sensing that there's like darkness, like there's not light, but it's growing. The light is growing again. Okay, that was a lot. Taurus, let me know how this resonates for you guys. Make sure to like and subscribe. I'll see you guys next time. Gemini, sun, moon, and rising. This full moon is happening in your 12th house. The 12th house is a house of spirituality. It's a house of self-undoing. It's things that are hidden from our from ourselves. So our subconscious, our self-limiting beliefs, it's places of isolation and solitude. During this time, you may have started something in this 12th house back in May of 2024. It could have been a meditation practice. It could have been that you went overseas. This is the house of overseas travel. This could have been that you went to the hospital and gained some clarity during that time in the hospital because you fell sick or something. I don't know. It's could be that you've been doing some self-limiting belief work and really examining your subconscious and the things that are holding you back in this life. This is a house of healing. It's a house of closure. It's a house of grief. And when we have a full moon here, it's a culmination. So something around May could be culminating at this time, but especially because it's sitting with Uranus, it is a illumination to something. And for you guys, because it's in the 12th house, every time this Uranus that's been here since 2018 gets activated, a lot of us can have these moments where we have some sort of insight that shatters our whole foundation of something. Because the 12th house is our subconscious, it can affect every aspect of our lives. For a lot of us, this might have something to do with your career or life direction, because on the same day Saturn's going direct, which I already made a video about, so make sure to check that out. I'll have that link below. And I also did an overview for this moon, and I went over all of the transits. I'll have that link below as well if you haven't listened to that or watched that. Yeah, I feel like for a lot of you guys, it's around career, but also Venus is currently in Capricorn in your 8th house, and Pluto's at 29 degrees, and it's going to move into Aquarius 4 days after this. And it's squaring the north and south node in your 11th and 5th house. For a lot of you guys, I feel like you are entering, like recently or around this full moon, give or take maybe a week or two, there might be a realization that you have that comes out of nowhere. And this could be provoked by something you read, something you see, something you hear. It could also be provoked by just a thought that you have that seemingly comes out of nowhere, or an event outside of you that provokes this understanding that makes you recognize that there is a new journey that you need to begin. And this journey that you want to take takes risk. It takes courage, because it's a risk, because you don't really know what's happening. You don't really know where it's headed, but you still want to take it. So Venus in the 8th in Capricorn is asking you, what are your deepest values when it comes to intimacy? What are your values when it comes to how you connect emotionally to other people, and also how you share resources with other people? Now, Venus in the 8th actually can be really great for receiving some sort of like money that's not yours. So you might be, your partner may be making more money at this time. You may, get a random check from the insurance company that you like overpaid something. It could also be bigger things like inheritances. It could be gains from stocks. It could be, just money that's not yours. But the square to the south node is making me feel like, in order for you to start this journey and relate to people in a deeper way, in a way that's within your own value system, there are some aspects of your self-expression that need to be shed. Okay? And I can't tell you what those are. You're going to have to figure that out for yourself, right? It feels like you are having to adopt a new way of expressing yourself that is not harmful to the people you surround yourself with. And I say harmful very lightly. I don't mean that, you're actually physically or like intentionally causing harm. But in some ways, I believe that there's a barrier to emotional intimacy because of some way that you conduct yourself. And I'm not really getting a lot more from that message. Ultimately, when we because Uranus is about to go into your sign, right? In next year, I believe it's July of next year. So Uranus being in the 12th can feel difficult, but I think it's one of the greatest places to have the Great Awakener, because your subconscious mind, and this is a house of endings, right? Because you're about to start over with the first house, is trying to jolt you awake from clinging on to outdated belief systems and subconscious beliefs that have kept you from being your full potential. And this, to me, like I said, I really think it has a lot to do with, yes, with your Venus in the 8th and the intimacy and Pluto in the 8th, all this stuff, and really understanding your own psychology and deep like healing of the psyche, okay? But I also feel like with Saturn in the 10th, I feel like all of that is pushing you towards this new life direction where you're going to be seen differently by the public. This might affect your status. You may go from married to, this is more like Saturn direct in the 10th, so like watch that video, but really it could be a change in status for some of you guys. I feel like this is quite significant for a lot of Geminis, all of this that I'm talking about. In some ways, the way that you live your subconscious life, your private life, your inner world is changing radically. And it's from that space that everything else is going to start catapulting into change in a positive direction, in my opinion. And sometimes positive means that something has to fall away first, yes. And that may be unsettling for sure. But I think it's positive for you nonetheless. So Gemini, let me know how this resonates for you guys. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. All right, so for my Cancer, Sun, Moon, and Rising. This full moon is happening in your 11th house. The 11th house is a house of networks, groups, friends, your friends in a larger sense. It's communities that you feel supported in. It's gains from your career. It's also your vision, hopes, and dreams for the future, right? Because we're declining down. Now we've reached the top, we've reached the 10th house, and now the 11th house is going down to the 12th house. So it's kind of like a waning situation, but this is also an area of our lives where we are of service to humanity, right? Where we kind of want to give to humanity in some sort of way. So in May of 2024, what was going on? What seed was planted around those themes that could now be coming to a culmination, to a peak of some sort? You could also be getting some sort of illumination or revelation about this because Uranus is indicated in this full moon. I did a overview of this full moon and I went over all the transits and stuff, so I'll link that video down below if you haven't seen it. Excuse me. On the same day, Saturn's also moving direct. I also did a video on that, so make sure you check that out. But I'm gonna briefly go over everything here too. So yeah, what kind of revelation? Because what's happening is in this part of your chart, something is shifting. You are being pushed to take a new direction that is more authentic to you with where you are now, because Uranus has been in this part of your chart since 2018. So every time that it gets activated, you are being pushed by this great awakener, which is Uranus, to be liberated from the chains of the past ways of doing things. Now for you guys, the ruler of this moon is Venus, and it's currently in your 7th house, along with Pluto at the 29th degree of Capricorn. It's going to move into Aquarius just 4 days after this. So you're really getting clear about your values in relationships, how you want to conduct yourself, and how you expect other people to conduct themselves. Oh my God, I can't say that word. Conduct themselves with you. And in some ways, this is challenging your old ways of being with yourself emotionally. So I could see this coming out like, you're recognizing your values that you have in relationships, but you're seeing that in order for you to have those types of relationships and to be able to relate to people in that way, you are going to have to shed some old layers of your emotional foundations that are no longer working for you. you're going to have to shed some sense of emotional security, which Cancers, like that's something you guys definitely can cling to. And it seems like you're recognizing that you can't move forward in your relationships with other people if you continue to have these deep-rooted emotions and these emotional patterns the same way. For a lot of you guys, this may feel like a major ending of some sort, a conclusion that is on the precipice of a new beginning, right? Because this full moon is so indicative of a new beginning. If you watch my original video, there's just so many things that point to that. And I think you guys are definitely feeling this aspect of it. And you're seeing, I think with this full moon in the 11th house, you're seeing a new vision and a new path that you can take. And with Saturn in your 9th house going direct on the same day, I think that you are moving forward with a more mature sense of understanding of the world. And in a lot of ways, this could have felt really depressing for you guys in the past and maybe currently, but I think as soon as Saturn starts gaining momentum and, give or take a couple of weeks from this moon as well, you're going to start to see this vision and what you need to do to work towards that. And what I'm feeling with everyone is that like this is really going to be a slow process for most of us. We hold the vision and we work slowly toward it. And Saturn in the 9th is just cementing your belief systems. It's giving you wisdom and authority and making you recognize that in some ways there is some sort of spiritual structure that could help you during this time. And for a lot of people, when Saturn's in the 9th, they are looking to some spiritual structures to help them get through the kind of dampness that Saturn in the 9th can bring. Okay, Cancers, let me know how that resonates for you guys. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. For my Leo sun, moon, and rising, this full moon is happening in your 10th house, your 10th house of public status, reputation, career, bosses, authority figures, father, legacy. It's how we show up in the world at large. So in the way that we want to give service to other people through our career or our status. So what was happening? What decisions were made? What seeds were planted around May of this year that are now coming to a culmination, that are now coming to a peak, that are now coming to fruition? Maybe some plans or something that you were working on that's now coming to a culmination. This moon is also very, very revelatory because it's got Uranus conjunct and opposing your ruler, the sun. For a lot of Leos, stuff is going to be happening actually external to you, more so. That is creating some sort of a response internally, emotionally, that is giving you some insight about something that needs to change in your 10th house, in your career, in your public status. Something outside of you or someone outside of you is igniting that around this time, give or take maybe a week or two. This to me seems and this person could be a very nurturing and dependable person that comes in and is able to give you some sort of assistance or divine guidance. You also, around this time, could just be feeling that the universe is really on your side. And in some ways that may feel hurtful, but it's on your side in terms of growth and allowing you to change direction in your life path, in your career, in your legacy. There is something brewing there, and it feels like the whole universe is trying to help you get there. The other thing that's really important, and I think for a lot of people this is work related, is because Venus is in the 6th. So Venus is in Capricorn in the 6th. Pluto is also in the 6th at the 29th degree, about to move into Aquarius just a few days after this lunation. Pluto in the 6th I could talk forever about. Very crazy transit. Venus in the 6th as well, and it's squaring the nodes. So what I'm hearing for a lot of you guys is if you have any illness, if you have problems at work, if you are sometimes Venus in the 6th can make you work way too hard and you need to like chill. But the way that I'm seeing this happen is that there are some daily habits in your life. There are routines in your daily environment that are no longer working for you. There are also some skill sets that are no longer in alignment with you that you need to let go of. And this could be hard because, you know, if you've spent time learning a skill set and recognizing now that going forward in this new step in your career, you no longer require those. So there may be a sense of disappointment in that. You know, like you've invested so much in some sort of skills or something that you've learned, and it's just no longer fitting with your new template. But it's feeling like if you want to get to where you want to go, 10th house, right? This legacy that you want to leave in the world, career, maybe, public status that you want to have, you have to work diligently at it, right? Venus in the 6th. And recognize, what do I actually value when it comes to work? What do I actually value when it comes to my daily responsibilities? What do I actually value when it comes to my health? And how am I willing to work towards all of those things? And like I said, that's going to require some adjustments in your sense of self, honestly, in the sense of how you show up, because this is in conjunct to Mars right now. And the inconjunct is a very weird aspect. And Mars is in Leo. And so in some aspects, what you want in your life and how you are not expressing yourself, but how you are asserting yourself in the world right now, currently, are kind of at odds. And so you're having to like make an adjustment. Give this some time. But I think the best way that you could start is you can look in your immediate environment and see, like, what am I doing? What routines do I have day to day that are serving this greater purpose for me? And what routines are not working for me, okay? I'll tell you guys, I'm a Leo rising. I just thought of this right now. One of the things that I'm trying to do is literally just not be on my phone that much. And I've been noticing how that's something that in you know, when I get really tired is when I'll grab my phone. And so that's like a daily routine, something in my immediate environment that is preventing me, in my opinion, from reaching a lot of my goals and what I want to do. So it could be something like that. It could be something more intense, such as like your immediate environment is not conducive at all. Like where you live, the people you're around, you know, so even SATURN in the 3rd could say that like people are moving neighborhoods, you know, it's not a very far move, but it's just like your immediate environment, something's missing. Generally, this is internal though. Like generally it's like, yeah, it's something internally. And the 3rd house is also your thoughts and your communication. So it could be the way that you're thinking. It could be the way that you're communicating that are not preventing you from getting what you actually want out of this life and what you want to be, who you want to be in this world. Saturn's going direct in your 8th house. So this is where I think also like I'm sensing this divine support, because Saturn being retrograde in the 8th for the last 4.5 months, I mean, Saturn in the 8th is just not an easy placement, but when it's retrograde, it feels even heavier in our emotions and in our psyches. And it's a time where we can really go inward and try to figure out our psychology and heal to some extent. And the 8th house rules addiction. So we may have seen, I just thought of like my phone thing, that's a dopamine thing for sure. There's some addictive behaviors that are no longer serving us that we recognized over the Saturn being retrograde. And now that it's going direct on this day, I don't know if I told you guys, but I already made a video about that. So I'll have that link below too about Saturn going direct. But Saturn going direct, it feels like this is where assistance comes back. This is where assistance from other people, but also assistance from the divine for a lot of us is going to feel like that's what's happening. And we're seeing what kind of addictions we had, and now we are moving, and maybe you haven't yet, maybe Saturn needs to go direct for you to really see it, but you can slowly start taking action toward resolving these issues so that the 10th house, where Uranus has been since 2018 trying to shake it up and say, wake up, we're not living our public life, our public status, our legacy, our career is not changing to our level of awareness. Yeah. Okay. So Leos, let me know how this resonates for you guys. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Virgo, sun, moon, and rising. This full moon is happening in your 9th house. What is the 9th house? The ninth house is philosophy, higher education. It's where we find truth and meaning in our lives and wisdom. It can be the place of long distance travel, of immigration and legal issues, publication. So for a lot of Virgos, this could be that around May of this year, when we had a new moon in Taurus, there was some sort of something that you wanted to publish. Now you're publishing it. It could be that you started a desire to go travel abroad somewhere, and now those plans are coming to a fruition or a culmination. It could be that you were dealing with some legal or immigration issues, and now you are coming to a completion on that. It could also just be that in May, you started this journey of trying to find wisdom and meaning and truth in your life. And now you're not only is that culminating, but because Uranus's involvement in this new moon, in this full moon, you are being shaken up to something, right? Uranus is a great awakener, and it comes to liberate us from old patterns, and it does this by jolting us awake. And Uranus has been in this part of your chart since 2018. So every time a planet comes and conjuncts it, especially during a lunation of some sort, there is some sort of sorry, I was just thinking about something else. There is some sort of insight or clarity or something that comes out of nowhere that makes you realize something. And for you guys, it's happening in that 9th house. Venus, the ruler of the moon, is in your 5th house, urging you to work on creativity, urging you to enjoy yourself, urging you to connect with that inner child within. It's urging you to, if you have children, to be around your children and to relish in that love and that joy. And if you don't have children, like I said, or even if you do, it could still just be that inner child, that joy within, right? And this is squaring the North Node in your 8th house and the South Node in your 2nd house. Now, for a lot of you guys, I feel like there is a new way of money that is coming in. There's something about your current income or job or value system that is no longer working for you, and it's preventing you from expressing yourself. All that Venus in the 5th house I was talking about, it's preventing you from doing that right now, because either there is limitation on funds, but what I see for a lot of you guys actually is more that it's a sense of low self-worth. I think Virgos, because of their a lot of people say Virgos are so critical of others, and that may be true, but it starts for Virgos within. They have very high expectations of themselves. And when that cup gets full, it can translate to being critical of other people, but generally it's very internal. And I've been talking a lot about this Pluto in the 5th and expressing yourself. And I had somebody, I remember not too long ago, make a comment that has stuck with me. If it's you, let me know. But they said something about, well, I feel like I am expressing myself. I just feel like I'm reserved because I'm a Virgo rising, or something to that nature. It made me think about how, yeah, of course, like, no one's asking you to, like, not be who you are. That's exactly the opposite, right? Like, I want you guys to be yourself and to fulfill that Virgo rising that you're here to be. It's not meant to be a Leo rising, But what I find really interesting is that for Virgos, especially Virgo risings, you guys have Leo in the 12th. So it's kind of like you guys take duty, responsibility, and details, perfectionism. You put that a step above you expressing yourself, which, like I said, is not a bad thing, and that can make you kind of more reserved and more serious in some ways because of those things. Even though you're still ruled by Mercury, so it's not quite as serious as some other placements, but yeah, it's an earth sign still. When I talk about this 5th house, it doesn't have to be expressing yourself in this, like, chaotic, wild way. do it in your way. That's the whole point. It's a sense of feeling good about the way that you put yourself out in the world. It's about when you're interacting with people, do you feel like you have that connection with the inner child, that part of you that is joyful, so that when you connect, you are not abandoning that part of yourself. That's what it feels like for me. And I feel like for you guys, you're really starting to see, like, what do I value? This is also a house of romance and love and dating and pleasure. What do I value in those areas of my life? What outdated values, what outdated sense of self-worth is preventing me from feeling that way? I think that you guys are coming out of a really difficult cycle. And I think this was Saturn in the 7th retrograde, which I did make a video about, so make sure you check that out. I'll have that link below. But I feel like for a lot of you guys, this has been a pain cycle. And I think that you're starting to recognize why you had to go through that, or I hope that you are. It feels like you guys are starting to get more focused on you. And I think this is all in great design, because the North Node is going to move into your 7th house with Saturn, and that may in some essence put a lot of emphasis on the other people in your life. And so it's good for you to have this sense of self-worth and awareness about the self, so that moving into that and moving into Pluto in the 6th as well, just days after this, will be a smoother ride. Now, Pluto in the 6th is meant to shake a lot of things up, right? It's meant to transform a lot of things. But you can have some sort of say in how you go through that process, right? Like I said, I have another video on Saturn in the 7th. Make sure you check that out because I'll give you more information about this transit that's happening on the same day. Let me know how this resonates for you guys, Virgos. I feel like that was long, but I'm not sure. And make sure to like and subscribe. I'll see you guys next time. All right, so for my Libra, Sun, Moon, and Rising, this full moon is happening in your 8th house. The 8th house of transformation, of give and take, of shared resources, money that's not yours, of intimacy, of the psyche, of healing, specifically any sort of addictive behaviors. This is a house of mystery and secrets. Now, having a full moon here means that there may be something that you started back in May of this year that is now coming to a culmination. For you guys, this could be, maybe you invested in stocks and now you're getting some returns from that. Maybe your partner started some sort of a new thing in May and now they're starting to make money from it because this is other people's money, right? Or your business partner. Doesn't have to be a romantic partner. It could be that there was some sort of psychological transformation that happened so maybe you started therapy in May and now you're starting to see some sort of results. Because Uranus is indicated in this moon, there might be some sort of realization out of nowhere that kind of breaks the foundation of this part of your chart. And Uranus has been there since 2018, but when we have a lunation, like a full moon, aspecting it so closely, I talked about this in the overview video that I did, so make sure you watch that if you haven't, because I go through all the transits for this lunation. I also have another video about Saturn in the 6th. I'm going to briefly talk about Saturn in the 6th for you guys, but make sure you watch that video as well because it'll give you some more information. Yeah, so full moon in the 8th, you might get some sort of revelation or some sort of insight out of nowhere about your intimacy, about shared resources, about other people's money, about something about your own psyche, right? This is the house of death and rebirth because it's transformation. For a lot of you guys, some sort of a secret could come out, whether it's your secret or somebody else's. Now, Venus is in Capricorn. Venus is your ruler. It's also the ruler of this full moon. It's in your 4th house of Capricorn, along with Pluto in Capricorn at the 29th degree, just days away from it moving into your 5th house. So Venus in the 4th is saying, what do I value in my home life? What do I value in my emotional foundations? What do I value in the way that I live my inner private life? And this is in tension with your North Node in the 7th and the South Node in the 1st. And I'm feeling that for you guys, in order to have the home life that you desire, in order for you guys to have the emotional foundations that you desire, there is just an aspect of how you show up in the world, your first house, your personality, your identity, your approach to life, your attitude. There is something within that is not allowing you to have some of these values in the 4th house, and you're being asked to let go of this during this time. Now, on the same day, Saturn's going direct in your 6th house. So in the last 4.5 months, there have been some reflections and maybe some limitations and blockages in your work life, maybe in your health. Maybe you've been having some illnesses. Maybe you have been, your daily responsibilities have felt very heavy for you. You know, you felt the heaviness of the load that you have to carry very strongly. As Saturn goes direct, that's going to open things up and make you feel things in a lighter way. But it's also going to present a new path, which I talked about in the video that I did for Saturn in the 6th. And I think for a lot of Libras, some event is provoking all of this that I'm talking about. I think it's something outside of you. It's something that's some sort of a message that you receive, or some sort of an opportunity that arises. This could be in regards to your 6th house. But I feel like for some of you guys, you are still feeling quite stuck in this. And I have a sense that this is the South Node in the 1st squaring Venus in the 4th. I feel like you guys have had to shed so many layers of your being in the last 1.5 years that you're like, what else can I shed, Jazz? Like, what else can I shed? And I wish I could tell you exactly what that thing is. Unfortunately, I can't. That's where there's some self-inquiry that's required. That why is this relationship with my family? Why is this relationship with my mother? Why is this relationship with myself emotionally? Why is this relationship within the home, or the emotions within the home? Why are they still not where I want them to be? You guys are having to carry the burden of this. That's what it feels like to you. But I just got this thing in my head, this quote in my head, and I don't know where it's from, but I've heard it. It's like kind of cliche. It's like, I promise you these storms are only trying to wash you clean. And I feel like my Libras are probably tired of hearing me say things like that, but I'm just getting this feeling like you guys are still feeling like you're trapped in some sort of situation, you're stuck, you're helpless, you can't, you've done everything and you can't move any further. And in some ways that may be correct, because the North Node is in the 7th, which means that in a lot of circumstances, other people are controlling the narratives for you, which is why it's so difficult for South Node in the 1st house. And yet this is still giving you an opportunity for self-growth through shedding and shedding and shedding the shadows of your personality, the shadows of the way that you're showing up, the way that you're viewing everything. That's what I think a lot of you guys, it's how are you viewing everything that's going on? There's a perception, there's an attitude change that may be necessary, an adjustment of some sort. Okay, let me know how this resonates for you guys. Make sure to like and subscribe. I'll see you guys next time. All right, so for my Scorpio sun, moon, and rising, before I get any further, if you have anything around 24 degrees of Scorpio, this is going to be more affecting you, okay? I keep forgetting to say that, so I'm just going to put it out there. This full moon in Taurus is happening in your 7th house. It's your 7th house of relationships, of business partners, partnerships in general, and your own sense of relational style. What was happening in May of last year? It may have been something with your partner. It may have been some sort of approach that you decided to have in relationships. It may have been something that happened within some sort of a business partnership, contractual agreement, or your romantic partnership. that is now coming to a conclusion or a culmination, let's say a peak. It's not quite maybe completing for most people. This could be quite shocking to you, actually, with Uranus's involvement and your sun being in Scorpio opposing Uranus in the 7th. Something within somebody else, so this could be, like I said, partner of some sort, may present something that is shocking to you, that is unexpected. And immediately, a lot of you guys may go to that's a negative thing, but it doesn't have to be. This can create a change in direction for the way that you relate to others and in your relationships that are affected. This is a new path that's beginning. And I kind of talked about this a little bit in my Saturn retrograde video, or Saturn direct video, which I'll have linked below. I also did a video that overviewed the full moon and all the transits, which I'll have linked below as well. And it went into more detail. For a lot of you guys right now, I'm feeling like Pluto at the 29th degree of Capricorn in your 3rd house, about to move into your 4th house. It's very unstable in a lot of ways, and that's your ruling planet. So you may be feeling that a lot more, the intensity, you're sensing that something is about to change or needs to change very, very intensely. Venus is also in your 3rd house, and it's squaring the nodes in your 6th and 12th house. What this is telling me is that you are wanting peace, beauty, and harmony in your immediate environment. You are desiring that so badly right now. And you're recognizing what you want, what values you want in your immediate environment. This could look like being like, you know what, I decided I don't like the way my living situation because the frequency is off, like I don't like the way this person shows up and it's affecting me. Or, changing your daily routines in some way. Venus in 3rd can also be inspiring you to bring some more beauty to your thoughts and your communication. But in some aspect, this is being limited by or stressed out by your job and also your health, maybe your day-to-day responsibilities. But also, and I think more strongly, is the fact that there is something in your subconscious beliefs, some sort of subconscious pattern that is driving your communication patterns, your thought patterns, that is creating the environment that feels disharmonious at times to you that you do not like. So I think for you guys with this full moon in the 7th, it may feel like it's the other person who is bringing the shocking insight, or you recognize something about the partnership. But I feel like it's coming from externally for you guys. That may give you an opportunity to react in a new emotional way. And I think for a lot of Scorpios, especially with Saturn going direct on the 5th now too, on the same day, some sort of creative projects or hobbies or love and romance could be taking a new path, which I believe is a better path. Or yeah, creativity, self-expression, joy, pleasure. This could be taking a new path for you. What I'm sensing though is being asked of you right now is a sense of inner strength that's required, because whatever's happening is going to feel destabilizing. And you guys are a fellow fixed sign. You don't like to be destabilized. It's going to feel destabilizing. It may be destabilizing in your immediate environment at first. Or, in your subconscious, you may feel this like something is holding you back in there. But it's asking you, can you guys have Mars in the 10th right now, and you're probably wanting to further your career. You're probably wanting to put a lot of energy toward your public life and toward your legacy, reputation, and what you want to do in the world. But right now, I'm sensing that the immediate environment needs your attention first. This Venus in the third is, let's focus on that for now. Mars is going to be in Leo in your 10th house for a long time. It's going to go back and forth. So let's focus on that right now. And instead, harness that Martian energy to gain some sort of control over your impulses and be the person who brings that harmony and beauty into your immediate environment, even if you're feeling destabilized, right? It takes an inner strength, that going internally and finding, how can I tame these impulses? How can I be strong for myself and everybody else that I need to be strong for right now? Scorpios, let me know how this resonates for you. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Okay, so for my Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, and Rising, this full moon is happening in your 6th house. The 6th house is a house of inequality. It's a house of injustice, suffering. Make it sound so bad. It's also the house of work. It's also the house of health and illness, small pets. This is where we meet some enemies and debt as well. So think of what was going on May of this year. What was happening with your job? What was happening with your health? What was happening with your pets? What was happening with any sense of inequality? Maybe you were going through some sort of litigation or struggling and having conflicts with other people during that time. It's now coming to a culmination. Maybe you're getting illuminated. Maybe you're getting some sort of a message about something that was happening in May that is bringing some clarity to you, but also destabilizing your sense of understanding in that part of your life. This full moon, along with Saturn, that's going direct in the fourth house. I already made a video about that. I'll have that link below, along with the longer video that I did about this full moon, and all the transits are happening. Yeah, so I feel like there is a change of direction warranted. And it's something to do with a new renewed sense of emotional strength, but it's manifesting in your outer life as a new direction in how you are of service, how you deal with these conflicts. This could be a new direction in your health and your daily responsibilities. This could be a new direction that is, from this illumination, you're going to have some sort of a new direction in your work. Now, around this time, Venus is going to be in your 2nd house along with Pluto at the 29th degree. And it's going to be squaring the North Node and the South Node, which are sitting in your 5th and 11th house. Venus in the 2nd is trying to figure out what you value monetarily, how you spend your money, if it's in alignment with where you are now and what kind of a person you are, how you make money. It's like, is that in alignment with who you are now? And you're getting very serious about this. Some of you guys may start budgeting more. And in some way, this is related to the fact that for the past year and a half, you've been shedding layers in your community. You've been shedding layers of either patterns of what kind of friendships you're a part of, what kind of online communities or real life communities you're a part of. There has been a lot of releasing in that part of your life. Your hopes and visions for the future may have shifted or may have felt more bleak, like they weren't inspiring you as much anymore. And what I'm hearing is that this financial situation that you're in, as you're trying to budget or figure out, how you want to make money and, really desiring to work on these things, in some ways it's being challenged by the fact that there are some ways that you relate to people as a whole, within a group, within a larger group, within a larger network, within an organization, that is creating these financial issues. Okay, I'm just going to give you one example of how I could see this happening. Adjust it to yourself and see, can you make sense of it in your situation? Let's say you don't have a lot of money right now, or you don't have a job, or you have a job, but it's not making a lot of money. And Venus goes in here in Capricorn. Pluto's at the 29th degree, about to move in Aquarius. So it's like very unstable and destabilizing there, wanting to transform this part of your chart. And you're like, okay, I'm not making a lot of money and I don't really like the type of work I'm doing or whatever. Yet when you are in when the way you are acting in your friend groups or in organizations that you're a part of, so let's say you work for a company, is quite off-putting. You don't have a sense of, and you know, I love my Sag. I got a Sag moon. Maybe you're not interacting with those people at large in a way that is conducive to you being in an environment that would allow you to make more money or make money in a way that feels more aligned to you. Maybe there is a lack of self-worth that is allowing you or not allowing you to connect to larger groups of people in a way that's bold. And so you're kind of just getting lost in the crowd. And so then therefore you're not finding the right opportunities. For a lot of you guys, I'm sensing some sort of conflict with other people around this time. It could also be just, you know, the 6th house is a conflict-driven house. So you may be illuminated to something that creates conflict at work, within, with other people in your life. What I'm seeing though, because Saturn's in your 4th, going direct, like I said, I have a video, I think I told you guys, I have a video about that already. There is a massive transformation that is happening for you. And this full moon is allowing you to see some patterns and some areas of your life that are just simply no longer working for you. And that need to change. And I'm thinking, I wonder if this is something to do because your ruling planet, Jupiter, is in an opposition with Mercury that's forming a T-square with Saturn. And that is highlighting the Jupiter-Saturn square that's happening in December, which is going to be really about making our ideals real, making our visions and what we want in this life, like bringing practicality to them. So I wonder if this is why you're going through a big transformational period right now. It feels though that a lot of this transformation is happening internally. This like death rebirth cycle is happening internally. And I think later on, we're going to see it manifest, or, you know, as Saturn starts moving direct and things start moving, you're going to start seeing it manifest in your outer reality. But it needs to happen internally first right now. Okay, Sagittarius, let me know how this resonates for you. Make sure to like and subscribe. I'll see you guys next time. All right, my Capricorn, Sun, Moon, and Rising. This full moon in Taurus is happening in your 5th house. What is your 5th house about? It's about pleasure, creativity, joy. It's about connecting to your inner child. It's about maintaining some sort of a childlike spirit. It's about love and romance. It could be relationship with your children. It could also be about your self-expression. So I want you to think back to May and think about what was happening in this part of my chart. Was there something happening with my children? Was there something happening with my creativity or an idea that I was having? Was I learning to connect to that childlike spirit again? And looking back at that journey now, was I showing up in love in a different way? Loving people and expressing myself in a new way? That's coming to a culmination right now. Now, what's also happening is there's some sort of revelation or insight that comes out of nowhere. This insight is going to create this change in direction in this part of your life. Self-expression, romance, pleasure, creativity. Because you're going to see something that maybe you already kind of knew in your subconscious, but Uranus is going to bring it to the forefront. And I already did a longer version video where I talked more about the transits of this full moon. Make sure you check that out. I also did a Saturn direct video, so make sure you check that out as well. In that video, I also touched on, I remember I touched on this full moon that's happening. Venus is in your 1st house, and it's squaring the north node in your 4th and the south node in your 10th. I'm feeling for a lot of you guys, Venus in the 1st house makes you want to come across as more harmonious, as more relationally oriented and thinking about other people, right? Pluto's here as well, right? The 29th degree, about to leave your sign for the rest of your life, okay? Sure, it's going to be a breath of fresh air for you guys. And that's going to go into your house of values and, you know, self-worth and all that. But yeah, so Venus is in the first, and I feel like for a lot of you guys, there is a public status, a career, some sort of a legacy, some sort of authority figure that is holding you back. You have shed many layers in your sense of public status, legacy, career. For some of you guys, this may have been changing jobs, but for some of you guys, it may have been the way that you relate to your career, right? It has not felt satisfying for most of you guys. And even if you have a spiritual outlook on it, you've kind of viewed your career, your public status from a distance and kind of pushed it to the side and said, I'm really focusing on my inner world, right? Because the North Node's been in the 4th house. So there's been a detachment. And I feel like you're at a point in your life where you need to have some authority and take some leadership let me gather my thoughts here. Gain some authority and leadership and make an objective decision about what is going on in my 10th house that is not allowing me to show up in the world as this harmonious and creative and collaborative person that I want to show up as right now. Because the thing is I think for a lot of you guys, you're recognizing that the way that you show up in the world, your appearance, your attitude, your personality, your identity, is you're really looking at your values there. You're really trying to decide, like, how do I align my life and all of those first house things with what I actually value now? Because for a lot of you guys, it may be outdated patterns, right? And I think for a lot of you guys, there's something connected to the career path that you've chosen that is not allowing you to show up in a way that is bright, that is vivacious. I don't know why that word came to me. What a weird word. That is just this creative, beautiful being that you are. Saturn freeing up your mind will do great wonders. In what I was saying about that, like having that authority to stand up and to speak up and to wise up in your thoughts and get really objective about changing your direction in life. But I think what you guys are seeing now is something coming up internally, or some event bringing up this shocking, awakening, electrifying insight that you must move differently when it comes to the 5th house matters. The way that you are expressing yourself is outdated. Uranus has been in this part of your chart since 2018, trying to be like, loosen up for a lot of you guys, you know, because Capricorn can be quite stiff. And there's nothing, especially when they're younger. As they get older, they get less and less like that. But Saturn's influence loosens with time. But Uranus here is like, have some fun, have some pleasure, have some expression and creativity in your life. Connect with this inner child. This is a house of Leo. This is your heart. Connect with your heart. Allow your heart to shine through. Okay, Capricorns, let me know how this resonates for you. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time. Aquarius, Sun, Moon, and Rising. This full moon is happening in your 4th house. Now, if you have anything around 24 degrees of Aquarius, you are going to be feeling this the most, or other fixed signs as well. What was happening in May regarding your private life, your emotional life, your emotional foundation? What was going on in your home life or your life with your family? What was going on with your mom, possibly for some of you guys? Whatever that thing was may come to a culmination around this time of this full moon in Aquarius. There may be something shocking that happens around this time. Something you weren't expecting, and it's changing your direction in this part of your life. Now, Uranus has been here since 2018, urging you to let go of the grips that you've held on this part of your chart, this fourth house where we have Taurus. We tend to grip, right? It's a sense of stability for us, especially the last 4.5 months when Saturn, one of your rulers, has been retrograde. It's been making you feel really heavy in terms of your self-worth, in your second house, in terms of finances. Maybe your finances have been restricted, and so you've been kept in an unsatisfactory home life, or your finances have been feeling heavy, or you've been feeling a lot of responsibility there, and it's been taking an emotional toll on you. But Saturn's going direct, right, on this day, and I made a video about that. I'll have that link below if you haven't watched it already. Saturn's going direct on the same day, and Uranus is your other ruler, which is conjuncting the moon and opposing the sun. So, like I said, you're gonna get some sort of shocking insight that pushes you in a new direction, allows you to see that there's a new way of being with all this fourth house stuff, and I think freeing up some money or some, increasing your sense of self-worth is going to help push you in that direction. Now, Venus, the ruler of this moon, is in your 12th house, along with Pluto about to move into your sign. What I'm feeling with Venus in the 12th is that you are really doing some subconscious work. Maybe a lot of you guys are getting into meditation. Maybe you're deciding to spend a lot of time in solitude for reflection. Maybe some of you guys are deciding to go on a retreat somewhere or do some overseas travel, long distance travel. This is a part of your chart that has to do with things that you cannot see. So like self-undoing, right? Things that your sense of self-sabotage. And in some ways you're like, how do I self-sabotage in my life? Well, I'll tell you, because of the square to the nodes and the south node specifically in your 9th house, it's feeling like there are some outdated beliefs that you have about the world that are creating these situations in which you feel stuck in some way. I feel like a lot of you guys are going to have a very destabilizing time because of this ingress and Pluto going into your first house just a few days after. So like the week or two following this full moon, I think are going to, something is being shaken up because it is no longer working for you. But whatever you are moving toward is not only more abundant regarding your home life, but it's also more abundant financially for you. It's more attuned financially for you. So like that Saturn the second opening up, I think for a lot of you guys, there's going to be a new avenue for making money. There's a new avenue for increasing your self-worth, and that is also a very abundant feeling. The crux of this, I believe, is truly in your belief system. Your sense of meaning. When it comes to the south node of the 9th house, a lot of our optimism can feel we can feel detached from our optimism. The sense of meaning that we have in the world, the wisdom that we have, the philosophy in the world that we've had, a lot of it is no longer working for us. And this is what I'm hearing is Venus in the 12th is a place of immense compassion for others. And I feel like this is something that you want right now. But I just keep hearing like the 9th house is so many things, but there's some belief system that you hold that is not allowing you to be compassionate in the way that you want to be for yourself and others. And that's in some ways keeping you from moving forward on an evolutionary basis. This doesn't always mean that the belief itself is bad. It means that we need to see it possibly from a new perspective. Aquarius, let me know how this resonates for you guys. Make sure to like and subscribe if you like this content, and I'll see you guys next time. Pisces, sun, moon, and rising. This full moon is happening in your 3rd house. What is your 3rd house? Your 3rd house is your immediate environment. It's your communication. It's your thoughts, your words, your mind, your skills, learning. It is, just the things that are happening in your immediate environment and the people that you're around. It can be your neighbors, siblings, cousins. This full moon is a culmination of something that was began in that part of your life in May of this year. So maybe you were learning a new skill. Maybe you were learning to communicate in a new way. And now it's coming to a culmination. I wish it was that simple though, because Uranus is conjuncting this moon. And I already did a video that talks about the overview of this full moon, and I go into transits more. I'll have that link below, along with the Saturn direct going direct in your sign. So that's very important. I have that video linked down below as well. And that's happening on the same day as this full moon. The Saturn retrograde the last 4.5 months was pretty heavy. But it required you to go inward so deeply that whatever insight you get during this full moon because of Uranus conjunct the moon opposing the sun is almost not as shocking to you, because you've dealt a lot with a lot of like the negative dark aspects, the feeling overburdened, and like you're kind of being pushed to be alone right now with Saturn in the first, kind of like a loner vibe. But even though you have the sun in your 5th house right now, it's like you're putting yourself out there, but you're still recognizing that there's a sense of growing authority happening to you in your 1st house. And in order to manifest that, you have to kind of spend a lot of time alone right now. Okay, anyway, that's softening the blow in my opinion. But I do feel like some of you guys are clinging to old habits regarding your immediate surroundings. So clinging to old habits or patterns that you have when you're relating to the people around you. The skills that you have, the way that you learn, the way that you speak, the way that you think. You're kind of grasping to this part of your chart, and Uranus is like trying to wake you up. And so you're going to see some sort of a shift here. This could look like you being more open with the way that you speak. This could look like a change in the way that you communicate in some way. So whether that means like, okay, you were doing blogs and now you're going to do YouTube, or you were writing you were writing prose and now you're going to write poetry, you know, it's changing your communication because of some sort of insight that you have during this time. Now, the ruler of this moon is Venus, and it's in your 11th house, where Pluto is about to leave. It's at the 29th degree, just a few days away from moving into your 12th house for the next 20 years. And Venus in the 11th is squaring the nodes, which for you are in the 2nd and 8th house. So over the last 1.5 years, there's been a lot of work and expansion regarding your self-worth, your self-esteem. Also, you've been really trying to make money. You've been very focused on income and how do I make more money? What I'm hearing though is that this Venus in the 11th squaring the nodes for you guys is saying, okay, you know, at this time you're really looking and trying to find what communities are the communities for me. What online communities do I want to be a part of? What in-person communities? What groups? What organizations? How do I want to be of service to the world? What do I value in those things? But there's a nagging sense that there's a roadblock in that. And the roadblock is that there is a blockage or an old way of relating to people. I just heard a lot of you guys have really deep trust issues. Like within intimate partnerships, there is very deep trust issues. And that holds you back from relating to others in an emotionally deep way. And I think for you guys, this Venus in the 11th and you wanting to find that community, so much of that rests on the fact that you're scared of intimacy in some ways because of being hurt in the past. I mean, Pisces is such a sensitive sign. When they get hurt, you know, it's really affects this like ethereal layer of them. I don't know how to describe that, words, right? Like they're just so limiting sometimes. It's very different than the way that it affects a lot of other people. South Node in the 8th could also feel like you're not feeling supported by other people financially. So like if you have a business, you feel like people aren't like buying as much from you. And there is something about intimacy or shared resources and how you relate to them that is keeping you from finding your people. I think you are seeing that around this full moon. And this may be what is propelling you into communicating differently, or this third house things that we're changing direction in. It's propelling you to learn new skills, because if you learn new skills, you could be part of different communities, right? That may be more aligned to you now. But you have to be willing to be vulnerable. And you have to be willing to, whatever this thing is around vulnerability or transformation, or how you relate to other people's money and how they support you financially, that needs to be shed, because it's keeping you back. It's keeping you back. All right, Pisces, let me know how it resonates for you guys. Make sure to like and subscribe if you like this content, and I'll see you guys next time.